everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ok Zoomer. I'm Aaron Lichtig, Xometry guy and former Jeopardy champion, and as always, I'll be your host today. We are really lucky today to have with us Will Bales, and Will is a medical device R&D engineer by day, but by night, he is a BattleBots competitor. He and his team have competed their robot HyperShock on the ABC and Discovery Channel show BattleBots since the show returned to TV back in 2015. And as the team captain for HyperShock, Will is the lead designer, the lead fabricator, and the driver of the robot. So he is the guy behind the controls. And each year, and this year is no different, they're building another 250-pound robot to compete on the show. It was scheduled to have filmed during the COVID period, so it has not filmed yet, but it's scheduled to resume its fifth season later this year. So Will, welcome. We're really glad to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So first, tell us how you got interested in competing on BattleBots.
Well, the simple answer is in Miami, there's a really large robotics community. It was started with First Robotics and a lot of high school and college programs locally, and I grew up around it. My dad was a mentor for a first team, so as a young kid, I was going to robotics competitions, and I wanted a taste of that for myself. So I did that as soon as I could with First Lego League and their Lego Mindstorms program, and at some point, I realized that you could fight them. And that was the downhill trajectory from there. So we me and my friends started building our own robots from scratch with parts and really designing it ourselves and evolving from there. And we did that all through high school. And when the show came back, I got a phone call from the executive producers saying, "Hey, the show's going to be coming back. We need robots fast, and we need something interesting. You in?" And we're like, absolutely, count us in. And so we got the band back together, so to speak, and we've been doing it since.
That's cool. Now you had some good success on the show last year, but you weren't the champion. So what are you doing this year to make HyperShock an even stronger competitor?
Yeah, so last year we to quote myself, we sucked less, and we had a great time. The constant battle that we have is time frame, and we never have a whole lot of time between when we find out that the show's been renewed for a new season and when it films, like 2 to 3 months later. So in that time period, we have to design a new robot, get new sponsors, test parts, test new ideas, fabricate everything. Basically 2.5 robots, just because of how destroyed everything gets. All the top tier teams basically have 2.5 robots at any given time. Mm-hmm. And so you got to get all the parts together and get to the event and get all your swag and your team uniforms all squared away. And usually what ends up happening is we finish the robot at the event, and we don't get a whole lot of testing time in, which we're cramming features in until the very last minute, which is awesome. But little things that normally you could fix rear their ugly head, and you don't necessarily have the time or the resources while on site to fix them. So we basically spent the last year figuring out what all those little things are, and so when we went into the season 5 redesign, we took all those little things that we learned and did a much more iterative improvement on the mechanics instead of kind of fundamental redesigns that we've done in the past.
Okay. And in this time of social distancing, how is the team working together? How are you collaborating when you're not all in the same room?
It's interesting. It happens that our team has slowly grown out of Miami. So a core group here, but our lead designer and graphics designer, and he also designs the aesthetics of the robot, he's out in California now. Tyler, our lead engineer, he's in California, in Bay Area, or was. Right now he's hanging out with family in Maryland, but working from home. And then we been working with a guy in Kentucky, who's new this year, and we have a team member in the UK, and we have some people who are up in Boston and Worcester, Massachusetts. So we've already kind of been dealing with and sort of prepping for the work from home new reality that everyone's in. So we already have a communications system set up so we can all talk back and forth and send screenshots and files back and forth. We have a Dropbox set up for everything. So it's inconvenient, and in terms of the people locally who normally would be able to all go to the shop and work on stuff in person together, that's kind of been curbed. But for the most part, we've been okay, and so we've been slowly but surely iterating and tweaking things now that we have a little bit more time until filming.
Awesome. Now, what advice would you have for someone who wants to make their own BattleBot or be a part of BattleBots in the future?
Go to a small robot event, and if you're feeling really adventurous, build your own little robot. Not all BattleBots have to be 250-pound, super complicated, expensive tours de force. Every builder on the show basically has started with little 1-pound robots or 3-pound robots. The parts are cheaper, they're easier to make. You can make them with hand tools. A lot of people lately have been 3D printing the entire robot and even some of the weapons. So it's much more accessible, and you'll learn a lot that way instead of learning the very expensive lessons that we tend to learn on BattleBots. And if you find a team that's local to you, chances are they're at those events. Like, we go to small events all the time. Basically every team, when they're not on the TV show, they're fighting little robots or running those small events. So if you want to get on BattleBots, start by going to the event and building your own.
Awesome. Well, Will, best of luck to you on this year's BattleBots whenever that comes to pass. We are rooting for you, and I did want to say Xometry is a sponsor of the HyperShock car this year. We're really proud and excited to be a part of it. And Will, thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, everybody. Well, we'll be back with another episode of Ok Zoomer over the next couple of days. Have a good one.